final edition this evening of our weather chat with meteorologist Candace Campos. My name is Matt Austin. We've been doing these every so often as we get ready and we gear up for Ethan and little bands. I don't even know if I'd call them little. South Florida is feeling it right now. I'm seeing all sorts of video. I'm getting text messages from folks who live down in West Palm Beach who they say a tornado came down in Wellington. So we're already starting to get lashed by this thing, even though the meat of it is still off the coast. Candace, what are we seeing on the radar right now?
Several tornado warnings already, and really that band that's starting to kind of spin around, moving into Jupiter, which has just started up a tornado warning that will be in effect for another 30 minutes or so. But we've been just seeing this one band just light up like a Christmas tree when it comes to all those tornado warnings all up and down 95. We had some of them out on the southwest kind of side of the state, and now it's kind of shifted towards the east. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of those rock and thunderstorms starting to slide in throughout the overnight, which is why Tom and I are here.
Yeah, and so those little glowing red triangles and strange shapes, those are the tornado warnings right now?
Exactly. So even though the storm is still miles away, still offshore, is just north now of Key West, we're still already starting to see those rain bands already moving in, which is why we stressed earlier today to just make sure you have all your preparations done by tonight, because by tomorrow it's going to get pretty dicey pretty quick.
Yeah, this is what it's like on the dirty side of a hurricane, even that far out. Hey, want to say hi to everybody who's joining us.
Hello.
We've got Newport Richie having some family there. We've got the Apopka area. Hey, Matt and Candace. Everybody saying, Jeremy saying, stay safe, everybody. Do you want me to switch to Max 3 now for you, Candace?
Sure, and I'm glad that you kind of mentioned that dirty side versus cleaner side technically. Basically, you have to think of a storm has 100 miles per hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's moving north at 10 miles per hour. On the right side of the storm, because you're going counterclockwise, not only are you having 100 mile per hour sustained winds, but you also have to add that extra 10 miles that it's also moving. So that's happening on your right side of your storm, which is why you tend to see those quick spin ups, because the winds are actually stronger on the west side than on the east side. Because if a storm is moving north like Ian is, you're basically subtracting 10 miles per hour on the left side. So it's a little weaker on the left than it is on the right, just because of where it's moving to, which is the reason why we talk about that dirty side, why we stress so much about kind of being the more dangerous region of a storm.
That's interesting. I've never put that together as the fact that it's moving forward and adding whatever miles per hour it's traveling to the wind. Thank you for explaining that.
Welcome.
Also tends to be the side. I'm sure they're sometimes on the left or the clean side.
Right.
Tornadoes pop up as well, but it's much more
Absolutely.
common on that front right quadrant, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Just a little vector math there for you at 10:30.
Let's get some thermodynamics in tonight. I'm feeling crazy, Candace Campos. So do you have a track for us on this
Yes.
guy?
Oh, yeah. I'm supposed to do that from this point on. All right. So here's Hurricane Ian. This is the close-up cone, because this is what people really want to focus on. So right out of the screen there, it's a Cat 4 potentially moving in just north of Fort Myers. But of course, we always stress, don't look at the one line in the middle. It's basically everybody within that cone. I'm starting to lower my voice because I hear that they're starting to get ready to go on air. But it will weaken pretty quickly from a Cat 4 down to a Cat 1 by about Thursday morning. So we're talking landfall by Wednesday afternoon through Thursday morning. And then it's going to take kind of that slow track towards the northeast, weakening as a strong tropical storm potentially till about Friday morning at about 2 a.m. You can see just starting to exit out of Flagler back out into the Atlantic, if this exact track is what it actually is. But of course, that's why we have that cone. Anywhere within that region could potentially have the center of Ian. So give or take, a little left, a little right could change things significantly when you start talking about county by county impacts.
Yeah. When you look at the timeline that you're putting up there, and this is a really great graphic to watch as well. My kids, as I was talking to them on my little mini dinner break here, they were like, Dad, you got to work. We're going to be like They act like they're going to be having a party. I'm like, no, no, no. For the next couple of days, you're going to be stuck inside doing absolutely nothing, right?
They're true Floridians because when I was a kid, that's exactly what it was like, hurricane party. I baked cookies and waited until the, power went out.
Out of school. Yeah, they think they're going to have a blast. We'll see. I hope they do have fun, and I hope everybody's safe, but
Absolutely.
it's not going to be what they're picturing, I don't think.
I mean, after a year of a pandemic, I mean, what's a couple of days at home,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Natasha is joining us. She's asking about curfews. I know I heard about a curfew in Volusia County, I
Okay.
believe, but I haven't heard about any besides that. Have we heard about curfews anywhere else, Olson? Curfews anywhere? Daytona Beach Shores starts tomorrow. Volusia County. That was the one I remembered, but I haven't heard any other ones besides that. Oh, can you send it to me? Okay, beautiful. Sorry, we're doing a little. You're kind of seeing how the sausage is made here.
This is getting results.
We
I
are
just
totally
learned
getting.
something.
Candace, do you want to see something that just came in? We got some video from Key West.
Show me, show me.
I know people want to see this. I don't want to jack with the timeline here, but check this out. This is in Key West, Florida. We just got this in maybe an hour or two ago from a reporter out there. This is the storm surge as it comes into Key West. It's only about 10 seconds of video,
It's nuts.
but it is just wild. I mean, that's a street right there. That is not a canal. That you're looking at, you can see the ocean out there.
The ocean meets the road, basically, there.
And then it is just, I mean, this is causing some real issues, and it hasn't even officially
These are
gotten
just
here yet.
these are just far swells that are just starting to build up on each other. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking between like the Fort Myers area and Tampa, we could see up to 9 to 12 foot storm surge. So that's intense if you have a storm, possibly a category 4, pushing all that water up to shore. It is going to spill over. And I mean, thankfully, a big part of the West Coast has evacuated around the Tampa area. And you can see why. I mean, you're talking about possible Cat 4. And then you can see this is the egg graphic that we always talk about, where we have the dark reds or 74-mile-per-hour winds or higher. But the problem is when you see a weakening storm that quickly, what ends up happening is you think of a figure skater. She spins really fast. Her arms are really tight. It's very, very constricted. But the moment she starts to weaken, her arms go out, that wind field will start to expand, and that's what we're more concerned about. Because it weakens so quickly from a Cat 4 to Cat 1, all that energy has to go outwards, which is why you see such a big section here in yellows and oranges, indicating that kind of blow up of all the energy that it lost once it kind of weakened pretty quickly into Orange County.
Yeah. That's interesting, though. We're whispering all of a sudden because
Oh,
Tom
yes.
Sorrells is on TV. So if you're wondering, the
He's
voice
done. He's
change.
done.
Okay, he just finished. All right, we can go back to normal. So I'm noticing from this graphic, and the 11 o'clock update is coming out in maybe 20 minutes or so. We'll have
Yes.
the latest for you on TV. Unfortunately, I would love to show that to you here digitally, but
That'd be
gonna
great.
out
I'm waiting
on
for
set.
it.
Yeah, I know. If it comes out, just throw it on there and we'll see what happens. But I have a feeling it'll be late because they take up until the last moment to give
Especially
to
when it
us.
comes to like just the nitpicking of exactly we're going to sometimes they hold off a little longer.
Yeah.
Here we have our tropical storm watches and warnings. A lot of people kind of wondering when's the worst of it. When can we start feeling the impacts? Tropical storm warnings are now in effect for Volusia, for basically the outline of Central Florida, as we have the coast, Marion, and Sumter County. But then across the interior zones there, we're in the red, meaning we have hurricane warnings. That means hurricane force winds are possible within the next 24 hours, less than 24 hours, really, as we talk about kind of like the timing of it. So basically, by early tomorrow, we're going to start seeing that squally weather. We're watching it, as you saw there on the radar, just to our south. Then the conditions will worsen steadily through Thursday. And then by Friday, we'll improve pretty quickly. So the weekend looks pretty good. We just have to get through some pretty gnarly couple days here with Ian.
Yeah, and when we've been watching this storm,
Mm-hmm.
Candace, by the way, Candace Campos has been a meteorologist for many years, even though she looks really young, and
Very sweet.
she is very young. She also went through Hurricane Andrew as a child, so it's been kind of a fascination of hers for her entire life. Now, we watched on satellite as this eye started to sort of it wasn't that perfect circle we see sometimes with those
Mhm.
uber strong hurricanes.
Yeah,
Can you
it's not
tell
that
us?
textbook
Yeah,
circle.
it started to get a little messy in there at some point earlier today. I don't know how the radar on it is looking at the moment, but we've talked about some of that eye wall, how it'll just change.
That
And
eye wall replacement. So what ends up happening is basically it gets so strong, and then it can't hold that intensity for that long, so it starts to kind of fall apart on each other. But normally, all of a sudden, you'll have a bigger eye and a stronger eye, which is why we think it's going through a little bit of eye replacement. I don't have that satellite loop, do I? No, I don't have that satellite loop right now. But it basically had that eye kind of collapsing on itself, which is
Mhm.
why we're also thinking why the National Hurricane Center is going up with that Cat 4 because they're saying once it really regains its eye again, it could rage into a Cat 4 storm. So it's really impressive because I mean this is a living, breathing creature that's out there in the Atlantic. It's gaining speed, it weakens a bit, and then it strengthens even stronger. So you're watching this kind of ebb and flow of nature's power when you start talking about these storms. So yeah, right now it still looks like it's the eye looks really ragged, doesn't look very impressive, which everyone's like, oh, awesome. That means it's weakening. It's encountering a little bit of shear on the left side. How long will that last? Is that just a precursor to it waking up and getting a bigger eye? Potentially. So we have to really see what the National Hurricane Center is going to go with because at the last couple updates, we really haven't seen any real big fluctuation in wind speeds, although pressure is going down. So when pressure goes down, speed tends to start going up a little after that. So of course, that's something we're waiting uh, to see.
Yeah. Janet has an interesting question for you, Candace.
Okay.
She sees on that track
Yep.
how it
In the back.
drops from a cat 4, gets raging like you said up to a cat 4, and then it
Hmm.
appears to make landfall and drop to a cat 1. She's
Right.
asking what is causing it to drop from a cat 4 to a cat 1 so quickly, and then by the time it gets to Orlando, hopefully for the people who live there like us, it's a
Right.
tropical storm at that point.
Right, and we all know how gnarly tropical storms can still be,
Oh yeah.
so we never wanna say it's because I know a lot of family are like, "Well, it's only gonna be this or it's only gonna be that." I've seen some tropical storm mess things up pretty good,
Mhm.
but yeah, when you the hurricanes live and breathe water, hot water, so the moment they start running into land, they start losing all their nutrients, all their everything that fuels a hurricane. So all of a sudden you'll get this colliding right into we have upper winds also colliding into it. That's what's making it that turn. So there's a bunch of different factors. Of course, the main one being just the interaction with land tends to kill off storms pretty quickly, especially as we get more into areas of Central Florida tropical storm. I mean, we're still talking about a strong tropical storm, by the way. We're talking still 65-mile-per-hour sustained winds. Um,
And for
so
long periods of time, if you got 60-mile-an-hour winds for 30 minutes or something, it wouldn't be a
it's an
big
afternoon
deal.
thunderstorm at
You
worst,
get it
it's a
for
good thunderstorm
five
winds.
hours or 8 hours of 60-mile-an-hour winds. Trees are falling down. Roofs are getting jacked up. Like it could be a real serious problem on top of all the rain we'll be getting at that time. Are we still expecting huge rain totals in Central Florida? Like
Yeah,
possibly.
the rain totals have been kind of gnarly. We are talking about 15, 20 inches of rainfall in some spots. Let me get to that. I'm going to show you the kind of the quick county by county here. I just kind of wanted to show you guys. Let me get to it. So, for instance, Marion County tropical storm warnings. So about 40 to 60-mile-per-hour sustained winds. But look how much rainfall. Latest models as of the 5 p.m. hurricane update showed a swath of moisture just streaming in, impacting areas like Marion County. So we're talking like 15, 20 inches of rainfall. Lake and Sumter, same story, 15 to 20. Areas a little further to the south kind of fluctuate a little less, like Osceola and Polk, you can see down to about 6 to 10. But that's still a considerable amount of rain, especially for an area in Central Florida. We're not in a big deficit of rainfall. We're not in a big surplus either, but we're doing okay this time of the year because it has been very rainy for the past couple weeks. Hence, it's rainy season. You can see Orange and Seminole 10 to 15. I know we've done a lot of stories about flooding issues in areas of Seminole County, Volusia, Brevard, all these areas. You can see 15 to 20. So you just pack that onto already very saturated grounds you're guaranteed to see flooding issues definitely by at least Thursday.
Yeah, yeah, could be maybe the biggest issue for Central Florida. Candace, I want to ask you one more question before I let you go because
Shoot.
it's 10:44, and I've got to go get this looking reasonable for television. People, several of them have asked, should we board up our windows if they're
Mhm.
in the Orlando, Central Florida area? What are you guys advising people to do as far as the boarding up? Because that's always a tricky situation.
Tom, can I say that you're not boarding up? Uh, Tom's not boarding.
I'm not boarding. I'm not doing it either, which it is a risk. If you're ever doing it,
I
it
was
is a
just
risk.
about to say. Now, are we on, along the coast would be a different story if
Yes.
we were living in Tampa or if the storm was coming on the east side. But just look around your area. If you have debris or things that you can pick up, you should be taking them inside. That's kind of my rule of thumb. Now, nothing stops a tree branch from crashing into your window. So when people ask me that, I tell them do what makes you feel safe during the storm. If boarding up makes you feel safer, then do it. That's really going to be that's going to have to be your decision. But
Yeah.
the meteorologists here haven't.
And
But again, that's a risk we're willing to take.
at minimum, you're right. It would take something big to go into your window, and that takes a certain amount of wind power that we're not sure. We live in the Orlando area. If we
Right.
did live over on the West Coast, I would be boarded up right now. I know a lot of people from all over are watching right now. If
Shut
you're
it
on the
up.
West Coast, shut her up and then get the hell out of there because that is not a place you want to be with a Cat 4 storm. But yeah, some folks are saying definitely. I gassed up the car.
Right.
I gassed up every car at my house. I've got a 17-year-old and a wife. They both were gassed up today. We
Right.
got all the water that we could. We filled up our big jugs. We got ready
Yeah.
for that, and we're getting everything outside, like Candace said. That small, unless you hate your neighbors.
Right.
Get
We had this little tiny trampoline, the one that you kind of just stand and bounce on for the
oh
kids. I mean, that was like, well, that's gonna go through someone's window. I'm gonna pick
right,
that up and put it inside.
yes,
And speaking of kids, the best way I got my kids involved, and they're so excited to use it, which is just funny, is their safe room. So I got their special toys and special board games, and I put it in one of our interior rooms, least amount of windows, put all of our stuff there so we kind of have our one-stop shop in case we need to run in if there's a tornado warning or whatever the case may be. That to us makes us feel safe, gets the kids involved. So, if there's something you want to do inside tomorrow to prepare, a safe room is always a good thing to do.
yeah. Deborah, also one of my favorite tips: fill up your tub, not so you can drink it. I never want to. If I'm ever drinking water out of my bathtub,
Things got
it's
bad.
a real desperate situation, folks. We've got a crisis on our hands.
Right.
Fill up the tub so you can put it in the back tank of your
Mhm.
toilet if the water stations lose power, and that will allow you to be able to.
And freeze those water bottles.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea because it's hot. It is hot here.
It
And what
is.
strength do they expect the hurricane when it hits Polk County? Are we still looking tropical storm? Maybe Cat 1 at the
Cat 1 for
worst?
Polk County, Osceola, that area
Okay.
could see a weak Cat 1 very strong tropical storm.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
Candace Campos, I'm going to let
Good
you go
luck.
do your job. I'm going to go throw some paint on this face right
Please
here.
do.
If you live in Central Florida, we're going to have that latest model coming out in any minute now. Is it out, Candace? Is it out? Do you see it?
Yes. It might
It
take
is.
some time for it. Yeah, it's
Okay.
out.
All right. All right.
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
Okay. You're still
I
waiting.
know you
Okay.
gotta go do your thing.
All right.
Well, you
Yeah.
know what? That's a great tease. We'll see you at 11.
Yeah. Check us out at 11 o'clock.